I'm going to take a few minutes here and go through a search that you might do to find cash flowing properties. So we're going to use a few different tools here. We're going to use Zillow. I like to use Google Maps to check out the neighborhood. We may dip into Rentometer, which is a website that looks at rents. We'll use a mortgage calculator and then a little spreadsheet that I put together before this just to calculate some numbers. So let's just jump right in here. So I've already done a little bit of research just to make sure that there were some opportunities in the area. We're going to look at Dayton, Ohio. I didn't pick Dayton for any reason other than I know it's in the Midwest. Should be good cash flow, and there should be plenty of opportunities there to find properties. So this is one method that I use, and I know Mike uses it. Other investors use this as well, right? It's just market research. And the more you do this, the more you become comfortable with it, and the more you'll learn about what may or may not be an opportunity, when you look at it. So let's just jump right in here to Dayton. And I am going to, so there's a few filters that I will take a look at. So I want to look at for sale, and I'm not going to set any limits on price. I'm not going to set any limits right now on beds and baths because of the type of property that I'm looking for. If I were looking for a single family home, which I'm not because I'm looking for cash flow. If I were looking for a single family home, personally, I go to 4+ bedrooms, and that's how I look because those are my best cash flow opportunities for single family. But we're going to look at multifamily, right? So these are going to be doubles, triplexes, and quads because we are specifically looking for cash flow today. So we're going to look at those. You can see that Zillow sets a boundary, this blue line, on Dayton, which is the area that I've chosen. I like to remove the boundary once I get into the area that I want to be in. I like to remove the boundary because I want to look and see what's outside of city limits also. So we're just going to drill in a little bit and just kind of crack into a couple of these and just take a look at what we've got, right? So in the metropolitan area, you're going to find a lot of properties that they're going to be less expensive, right? You may get into some bad neighborhoods, so you got to be really careful about where you're choosing a property, which is what Google Maps is for. We'll use that when we look at these. But you also kind of have to look at what price point you want to be in. Where are you in your investment journey? What kind of cash do you have available to you? What your options are to buy. So I'm going to be looking at sub $100,000 properties right now because I think who I'm talking to right now probably are entry-level investors. So we're going to be looking at sub $100,000 properties. We're just going to start. I personally like to work the perimeter of an area. I don't like to drill into the center of the metro. Again, that has to do with the type of neighborhoods that you get into and maybe some of the issues that you would run into when you get inside the metro. But we can take a look at a couple either way. So let's just start opening some of these and taking a look at them. So this is a $97,000, probably a duplex. I have boards on the windows telling me that it is vacant, needs work. And we just read here, perfect investment opportunity to rent one side and live in the other. Duplex with 2 bedrooms on each side. Both units need some TLC, which is their nice way of saying this thing's not ready for rent, right? I'm not, because this is in Dayton, Ohio, this is not something that I'm really going to be interested in. There are 4 photos, so we might as well take a look at all 4. Personally, I don't like the looks of the building. Even some of these walls, I'm looking at my eye just kind of gravitates towards anything that's not perfectly plumb. When you're looking at the exterior, this front corner does not look to be plumb, just meaning that there's probably some structural issues with the house. And I don't know. I just don't really like the feel of that. So I'm going to move on. Then going to jump down here to this one for $65,000. And it looks like a duplex again. Not a bad looking building. It does have a lot of condition issues. Everything we're going to look at today probably has some condition issues. But we can drill in here, kind of looking at the big CapEx items, right? Roof. Look at how the gutters are being pulled down. Look at the waviness of the roof, right? So that has not been dealt with. They're not crisp lines around the windows, so you've got a lot of water intrusion potentially that's happening in this building. Probably not the best building for a beginner, just for those reasons. Again, here's the aerial view of the roof. Yeah, I mean, this particular building is got some problems, but it's $65,000, right? I mean, you're probably looking at a $6,000 or $7,000 roof there, maybe more, if depending on how many layers they have to tear off and what kind of work they've got to do to get that old roof off. But it says great opportunity to add this vacant duplex to your portfolio. Needs some TLC. They don't have any interior photos, which tells me that it's probably in very poor shape. We're going to jump in here. I'm going to jump up a little bit. I know I said I'm going to say in a sub hundreds, but that wasn't really proving successful at all. So jumping up to see what we can get for $120,000. Looks like a duplex again with a separate garage in the back. Not a bad looking building. Overall condition looks pretty decent, actually. Not a lot of photos. So this multi-unit offers distinction. 5 bedrooms, 3.5 baths. So unit 1 is a 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath. Unit 2 is a 1-bedroom, 1 bath. So this is a triplex. Second floor, unit 3 is a 1-bedroom, 1 bath. Newer roof, newer furnace. Excuse me. Water heaters, breaker boxes. Need work. I wish they would use better English, honestly, here. So maybe it needs some additional work, but a lot of this has already been completed. It's been on Zillow for 62 days, so it's been on here for a couple of months, which is not abnormal these days for things to sit. Let's have a look at any other information that we've got. So, of course, this being so close to the metro, this is going to be on city sewer. It's got natural gas. This was listed 60 days ago for the price that it is currently. It did go pending at the end of January, and that sale fell through. So the first thing I would ask if I were to contact about this is tell me why this sale fell through. And they are somewhat obligated to tell you. And if there's an issue with the house that was found that made this fall through, they are obligated by law to list that on the seller's disclosure. So the seller's disclosure is something else that we would want to ask for right out of the gate to find out what kind of issues that they know about with the house. So Zillow does do some, pretty decent They are pretty decent about giving you an estimated monthly payment here because Zillow has property tax information and they estimate the homeowner's insurance on this, which they are incorrect. Homeowner's insurance on this is probably going to be closer to $120 a month, but they do have typically the correct property tax information. And then the principal and interest, they've got that on a 4, but we are investors, so right now we're going to put that at 8%, and that jumps that up to $700 a month. So we'd have a $900 payment. We're going to double check that with another calculator, but that gives you a pretty good idea. This is not a house that I previously looked at when I kind of was looking at the area before I hit the record button. But this is an opportunity here, right? So this is a triplex. So we could look at the rents on this. I'm going to grab this address, and I want to see what kind of area this is. So we'll go over here, look on Google Maps. I want to look at the surrounding houses, right? So totally residential area. This is not an industrial area. That's one thing that I want to look at from an investment property. If I were to pull up here and there were, a trucking company over here or warehouses over here, that's kind of a red flag from an investment area. It's not that I don't buy those, but that's information that we have to know. This is a residential area, so you should have, pretty good luck selling one day, and it doesn't devalue the property. It's a very nice street, right? So we're just going to walk down the street a little bit. I just like to look at the surrounding houses. This is a really nice street. I'm not seeing a lot of duplexes, so these appear to be, from what I've seen here, can't see a lot of them because of the trees. That could be a duplex right there. Although it not necessarily is. There's the subject house there. Single family on both sides. And while I'm looking for a duplex, I don't personally like it to be surrounded by duplexes. I want to get some of the appreciation of the local area, and also by appreciation I just mean that single families appreciate better. However, your comps aren't going to be the single families, but I think that you profit on a monthly basis, even with rents, right? A little better in this type of area than you would in a rental district, right? So you're going to get better rents in this kind of area. This kind of screams multifamily to me. There's probably 2, 3, maybe even 4 units in that building. That's not the best looking thing, but it's a single family home. This is an area that, it is acceptable to me. So let's go to back to Zillow, and we're going to look up that address just to get in the correct area. Okay, so here's the area we are in. So Grafton Hill, Old Dayton. And now we're going to switch from for sale to for rent. And we're going to take a look and see what the rents are like in this area. So this is the area the subject house is in. So we got $700 for a 1-bedroom, 1-bath. Decent place, clean. This appears to be an upstairs unit. It may not be, though. Let's take a closer look. It shows a downstairs door. but when I look out the windows, I see the tops of trees. So I think this is probably an upstairs unit that they are renting. So this is more than likely a pretty good comp for that upstairs bedroom. So I'm going to come over here to my spreadsheet. I'm just going to put upstairs. So that's 700. And then let's take a look at this one. This is two beds, 1 bath. Probably not a good comp. This is in an apartment complex. It's definitely not a apples to apples comp. However, you can discern what the rental market is like here. So $1,200 there, and that is on the river. That could be a little bit of a trendier area, if you will. I'm not sure. Moving on. So this is another apartment building, 1 bedroom, 1 bath, 770. Jump up here. Not a comp. Not a comp. What's under here? It's more of this technical difficulty there. Back and just still looking for some comps for rents. I'm going to jump over here. Same general area. This looks like a pretty decent comp. Same as before. It's a 1 bed, 1 bath, $700. Another 1 bed, 1 bath, $600. This is off into another neighborhood. I think $700 is probably our market for that 1 bedroom unit up top. Okay, so going back to the subject property, you have a 3 bed, 1.5 bath, so 2 1 bedroom, 1 bath. So those we're gonna say $700. I did not find any 3 bedroom. So let's take a look and see if we can find filter. So let's be conservative in our estimate and not say that it's a $1,250 unit. This is a $1,000 unit. Nice, very nice unit. And then 775. This is appears to be part of a multifamily property, probably a comp. It's a different neighborhood, up here. 1,275,000. So let's just conservatively say that. So this will be unit 3. Unit 2 will be the same. Unit 1 is the larger of the 3. Let's conservatively say 950. Oops. Unit 1, 950. And then we're just going to look at what our totals are. For rents, 2,350. Okay, so we're going to plug that in here. So our rent will be 2,350. Now let's go find out what our mortgage needs to be for this property at $120,000. Just let's assume we pay full price for it. We're just going to go grab a mortgage calculator here. 120,000. 20% down, 8% loan. We want to get a 30-year term. Property taxes on this property are look at that, 2,350 is what Zillow is anticipating, and that's what we came up with, 2,350. It's saying $161 a month. It should have a tax number on the Zillow record. I don't know. It says tax history is unavailable. This is something that we could go check on the, it's $1,932 a year. And I would go check this on the county records, figure out what county this is, find their site, and look it up by address. And I've already forgotten what that number was, 1,932. So we're going to escrow. So we want our taxes to be included. We don't pay PMI. And our homeowner's insurance is going to be about $120 a month. And I'm just basing that off of my experience on other properties that I pay in the Midwest. And so that would be $1,400 a year. And we're going to calculate that, $985 a month. So our mortgage is going to be $985. This is going to be property management, because this is in Dayton, Ohio. We'll not be managing this ourselves, so I conservatively am going to put 12%, although you could get it as low as 10%. So $118 a month. Maintenance, we're going to estimate that at 5%. Vacancies, again, I like to be really conservative, so I'm going to estimate vacancies at 10%, although you could get it less and most likely would if it's managed well. And then CapEx would be, because this building said it had a lot of things replaced already, I'm going to put CapEx at 5%. If it did not have a lot of those mechanicals replaced, then our CapEx would probably be at up to 10%. So the 5% I think is probably a pretty decent number for this property. So we will say this times 0.05. So our total expenses for the month on this house are $1,320. Some of those are actual expenses that you'll see on a monthly basis. Others, like maintenance, vacancy, CapEx, you don't see that direct expense hit the account, but you have to pad yourself with a CapEx account. So your overflow, cash flow will go into a CapEx account, so then you can pay into those line items as needed. In fact, I would probably bump maintenance up a little bit until I became a little more familiar with the property. So let's run maintenance at 10%. But if we look at our overall cash flow, when on a monthly basis is $1,000 a month on this property, being $12,000 a year. Even being conservative and say we take a 25% hit on that, I think we've entered a lot of these numbers conservatively, right? But being even more so conservative, you could estimate that it could potentially be 20% less than that, and you're at $800 a month on this property, right? So you would have a 20% down payment on this place, and you'd have to get to the closing table. So potentially this would, let's say you bought it at the price that it's listed. However, I don't recommend that. I recommend that you negotiate that price. But assuming you bought it at the price that's listed, your down payment on that was going to be $24,000. So this is your 20% down, and then you're more than likely going to spend another $3,000 or $4,000 to close. Let's just call it 4. And there's a pretty good chance that you'd come in under that 4. But again, being conservative, if you have cash sitting around and you're looking to invest in properties, this property you could invest $28,000 into. You could earn $1,000 a month in cash flow. And if you have a W-2, if you are a W-2 employee, you will begin to get immediate gains on that if within the first year, because you're now writing off the expenses and the appreciation of this property, which will eliminate some of your tax burden from your W-2. If you were to pick up 3 or 4 of these properties, you could begin to eliminate the majority of your tax burden. If you, depending on how much you make on your W-2, you could ultimately get 10 properties, and then that would more or less wipe out your tax burden from your W-2. And that is kind of the power of real estate. And then from a long-term investment potential, this is a cash flow let's this house is a cash flow play. I mean, you're not going to get great appreciation on this, right? So it's not like you're going to buy this house for, let's say you negotiated it to $100,000, which ultimately increases your cash flow. You buy this thing for $100,000 this year. In 10 years from now, it's not going to appreciate like the single family houses around it. Multifamily just does not appreciate in that way, although you will get some appreciation, and that is mostly going to be through the increased rents. And you'll also gain some of that appreciation because of the single family houses around it and Zillow's, but it won't be a direct appreciation like you would from those single families. But this will give you an idea of how to find properties, how to run the numbers on them. The one I had my eye on was up here. I hadn't even seen that one yet that we just looked at, but this is another opportunity. $100,000. This one's a duplex. I don't know what the rents are. I hadn't gotten that far, but I didn't hate the building. I didn't hate the area. It was a pretty decent area. So let's take a look just real quick. We won't go in depth, but just as a second glance at another property. And these same rules apply. You can take this same process and go anywhere in the country, right? And have a look at properties, run the same numbers. The numbers work the same. The process works the same. Just the numbers will be different, right? I mean, if you're in areas like Chicago, California, New York, Florida, the property values are going to be considerably more. Rents will as well. But people from those areas invest in the Midwest for a reason, and that is for cash flow, because we have the best cash flowing properties in the country. So Dayton, Ohio is a pretty safe place to look, and as well as other towns like that. So looking around this area, again, residential area. So we like the looks of that. This looks like it is on the main road that going through the area. So it could be busy, but also it is not it's not off into the neighborhood. So that's good. I'm not sure what's going on here. Okay. So looking here, again, I like the looks of this. This is a nice, clean area. Mostly residential, got some storefronts. So it's kind of a little bit of a small neighborhood feel. This is a really nice area, a nice neighborhood that is just down the road from it. And then this kind of goes in behind it. That's the alley access to the back of the house. So overall, I like the area. And then we will look at potential rents. So each side of this unit appears to be a 3-1. So it says the left unit has been partially renovated with new electrical, plumbing, drywall, and windows. The right is in its original condition. Recently vacated, and they were $525 a month. Okay, so and you'll find this a lot, right? So this tenant that just left this building was not paying market rent, right? So it's saying the unit on the right has not been updated, and they were not paying market rent. So that tenant potentially could have been there for a while, and they just had not had the rental increases that they should have. However, that also means that unit could probably need to be refreshed, need to be updated a little bit. You could be looking at flooring, of course, paint, maybe a kitchen update. Somewhere it's a fairly small unit. I'm trying to look at, so overall, so it's 2,500 square feet total, so 1,250 square feet per unit, basically. So you could be looking at, if you did it modestly, a $6,000 update to that unit to get that number up to market rent. It's saying the unit next to it has already been updated. And so let's have a look real quick at the rental potential in the area. If Zillow will cooperate. I think Zillow's having some issues right now because I was looking on my phone a moment ago, and the maps were kind of going bonkers like this. So this is a 3-1 house. So that's $1,000 a month. That's not a direct comp, because the rent on a house is always going to be more than the rent on a multifamily. So you could apply a factor of like 0.9 or something to that, and just say maybe that's a good comp at a factor of 0.9, meaning that the rent would be 90% in that multifamily that it would be in a single family house. Sometimes you cannot find a direct comp, but this seems to be a really strong rental area. So these houses are renting from $1,000, which I would say this one's probably running a little low, and maybe it's because it hasn't been updated. This one's up at $1,300, $1,100. Again, that one's running a little bit low compared to the ones that have been updated, like this one at $1,400. This one over here is a different neighborhood at $1,200. Again, looks nice. It's been updated. This one's $925. Clean place. They could actually probably realize more than that. So this is a pretty good area, pretty good rental area. If you could get $900, $950 out of each side, you'd be at $1,800 to $1,900 a month total. But that building also needs a little bit more work because you got the right hand side that has to be updated. It is a fair amount less cash flow than the one we looked at before, which was $2,350 a month cash flow, but also a very good deal. This would be a good cash flowing asset in a good neighborhood. The building, although there's only 2 photos, the 2 that we do have and the street view that we looked at, I would be asking for more photos, right? If this was something that I was looking for, I'd be asking more photos and a ton of questions, right? And finding a realtor in this area, maybe the listing realtor is someone that is used to dealing with investors, and because they are selling a multifamily, maybe they'd be a really good person to speak with on this particular property and other properties in the area, and maybe they'll be your legs and they can go find out some more information, take additional pictures, or whatnot. But the math still works the same, and that's how we make our decisions. So I'm going to wrap this up now, and hope to hear any questions that you might have in the comments. And everybody have a great day. Thanks.